Picking up where I left off in the previous video, I'm going to show you a couple of quick things and then be moving on to a different video altogether. So we've showed the repeat grid. If I want to drag some images in here, you have to pull them in from an external source, meaning it can't be from this library. It has to come from somewhere else. So I already have some selected, and what I'm going to do is just click once. All these are grouped together. You can see it shows ungroup. If I click that, it ungroups them. I'll come up here to my downloads. What would be much easier is if you have a folder set up specifically for your images instead of using your downloads, because this isn't very organized. I'm just going to drag these over, drop, and they're populated. I can come in here and change the name just by double clicking. I got placeholders for right now. So what I want to do next is I want to direct this page here to this page. And a lot of you have already done this, but there's a few ways I want to do it. One, I want to be able to signify that if I click here, it's going to do something. So I want to make an action out of this item. Now I've already created a component, which is button 1. Did that in the last video. And now I want to be able to make it function of some kind. So with this selected over here, you get this showing up. Component main in parentheses. It says button 1 default state. That means that at the default, this is how it's going to look. That's it. I'll click this plus sign. I'm going to click a new state. And I'm going to choose hover. Now, when hover is still selected, you can rename it if you want. I'm going to double click here. Select the text, change the color. Okay. Click on this again. You see it's back to component button 1 and hover state is selected. Well, if I click on default state, it changes back. So what I'm going to do now is test it out. Hover over it. There it is. It's changing. Now I know something's going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and close out of that. You can do a lot of things. If you wanted to, you could, the default state might not have a gradient, and the hover state might have a gradient, or it could be a shadow. So you can play around with that however you'd like. I'm going to prototype. When I click on this, you'll see this here, a little lightning bolt that says hover. That means there's an action that's applied to it. Well, I'm going to bring this over to this page because when I click on it, I want it to come over. So it doesn't affect this hover option at all, right? Let's test it out. Hover over, changes. Now I got a pointer finger. Now I'm on that page. So if you didn't want to tap and go to the next, something that you can do is in this prototype, I'm just going to select this wire here, and you see I've got my button up there for the component, but I also have interaction here. So here's something new. There's a tap, meaning that if I tap this or if I click it from my computer or if I tap it from a mobile device or a touch screen, it's going to activate. You can also choose drag, keys and gamepad. We'll get into those later. And then under action, we have a transition. So it could be auto animate, hyperlink, overlay, scroll to, and so forth. So right now it's at transition. I'm going to hit auto animate. I have this easing, so I can ease it out. And what's going to happen now when I test it, it eases. Pretty simple. Go back. Let's say if I want to change it to something else, I have to highlight that same wire again. And let's see, I have an auto animate, maybe it's overlay, and the color is going to change. Okay, we want to do something else. Maybe it's going to dissolve. And I'm going to go ahead and try it. And not really much to see here. Not much is really going on. So basically, what that means is I have to go back in and make more adjustments. So as you're trying these different things, just really, um, experiment with it. Um, Animation here, we slide right or left. So watch this. If I try this now, it slides over. Okay. So play with that. See what you think. Let me know if you have any questions.